So, so why we're here today is something did bring you here. Something inside of you is saying, I need some help. Something inside of you is tired of hitting your head against the wall, right? Maybe emotionally, maybe mentally, maybe even physically, you're really feeling the effects of trauma. So, this workshop is to talk directly and explicitly about trauma, but more particularly, complex trauma. Complex trauma because it's complex. We could have deep, deep wounds from what might seem from the outside simple emotional rejection from our parents. We could have complex trauma from years and years of abuse and neglect. I've experienced personally poverty trauma and addiction trauma. Both my parents were drug addicts and alcoholics. I've gone through and witnessed all forms of abuse. This is a nice caveat: is all witnesses to abuse are still victims of abuse, right? And all of that created inside of me, I lovingly say, a shell of a boy. I didn't know who I was. A lot of my family and teachers would always say I was the quietest, nicest little kid. But really, I was at the early ages in survival mode. I didn't know that, right? I was in shock. I was frozen. I was constantly in a freeze state. And that's because I wasn't shown a safe place. I didn't have a safe place to be a kid. And I was an only child. I had no support. Both my parents were out of their minds. And I just was in survival mode. So some people can relate to a story like that, and some can't, but their hurt comes from somewhere else. Maybe a good family, but then there was some abuse the family didn't know about, and it was too traumatizing to actually share. And so you had to carry that wound inside of you for so long, right? Maybe it's a divorce and it blindsided you, and you were happy and life was good, and all of a sudden now it's shit, right? And you don't even understand what the hell's going on inside of you. That's an adult complex trauma that can happen. So not all complex trauma is childhood, right? Now, for the sake of your guys' attention span, I will try not to, because there's so much you can try to cover around complex trauma. Every single individual has an important story inside of you. Every single thing that you've individually experienced is 100% valid. The hurt you've experienced is unique to you. And of course, we can't talk about all of it in 45 minutes. But either way, something inside of you is hurting and you would like to try to feel better. Does that seem fair? Yeah, right? It could be big hurt. Maybe you feel like you've literally lost yourself. Or maybe it's just this years and years of the same kind of little pain that you've never been able to get a handle on. And now it's starting to maybe show up in your life as literally physical sickness or job dissatisfaction, or your marriage is on the rocks. And it's all these little things that have built up over time. So this work is going to help you today, I hope, identify it pretty quickly. What's actually going on? What's under the surface? Because what I specialize in, uh, one person adding, Olivia, wonderful. So underneath us is hurt humans, right? We have parts of us. And so if you've seen any of my content, you know I talk about parts all the time. And that's for a purpose. IFS therapy, as clinically proven as it is, created by a Harvard-based psychotherapist, its language is simple because we can relate to it. The parts of me that don't trust, the parts of me that are feeling hurt, the parts of me that overreact, the parts of me that are embarrassed easily, the parts of me that would give my shirt off my back, right? The parts of me that put other people first and put myself last. You might even hear the language of a part of me is ready to do this, a part of me is not. Right? A part of me feels this way around her. Another part of me feels this way when I'm around her. Right? If you could use that wording in your life, part, it becomes really relatable. And I didn't know it, but there's a whole psychological factor to this word part. Because what it's actually doing is it's giving you an insight into this aspect of your psyche. And now all people have parts. In my belief, every human being has parts. We like to think of them as sub personalities, and that's very easy. I talked to my Amber, if it's okay, share. I mean, you're my client. We literally just had a session. I share that even right now, I am partially blended with a part of me that wants to look good, look important, look trustworthy, a part of me that wants to come across professional, a part of me that is Coach J, right? Trauma informed inner healing coach. But at home, when I'm with my kids, I'm goofy, playing with Lego, mumble under my breath when I step and stub my toe, sometimes frazzled ADHD guy, right? Not really who is in front of you right now. And we all are like that. It doesn't mean we're fake, doesn't mean anything bad, but it means parts of us have learned to help us overcome what we shouldn't have had to overcome at some point. So I have a deep fear of rejection. Parts of me have been rejected. Being grown up in a household that was completely full of neglect, I literally was rejected. My parents chose drugs before me. They chose their own hurt and their own trauma before parenting me. That is rejection at the deepest form. And so I have parts of me that aren't even unhealed because I'm aware of them and I have unburdened them and let them out. But there are parts of me that do feel fearful of rejection. So we're going to get into some of the semantics of it all. But so then I have parts of me that protect me by who you see right now, right? Nice guy. I hope I come across this way. Nice guy, affable, trustworthy, kind of knows his shit. Seems easy to talk to, pretty easygoing. Some of that is my authentic self. Some of it is the work of a protector part that wants me to receive validation and acknowledgement and all that stuff. So far, does that kind of make sense to you? A little bit? Yeah. What you can do is in the chat is thumbs up. That's always a super easy way to just say, yeah, we get it. Awesome. Thanks, Ariel. So no matter what we've been through, we all have moments like that where it feels like we're not exactly ourselves. Or you might be in a social setting and you come back from that social setting and you're exhausted because you've kind of played a role a little bit. That's the work of a protector part. Or maybe somebody says something and you get triggered. And that trigger isn't a bad thing. It's an insight into a wound. But you kind of maybe fly off the handle. Or somebody does cut you off in traffic, and this is a classic, and you flip them the bird. Are you the type of person that would flip them the bird to their face in person? Maybe not. But that part of you comes online that's like, screw them, like, come on, right? And I'm not going to make me feel small. Screw you. That's a protector part of you. The part of you that is going through a breakup and desperately wants to reach out to the partner that is gone. The one that wants to text late at night. That's a part of you. And then that other voice you hear, it's like, don't be foolish. That's another part of you. And so this work allows you to, we kind of call it map out. This allows you to map out all these different parts of you. You start to understand, oh, interesting, this energy I have, this feeling I have, this reaction I have, it's a part of me. I don't know yet entirely how it's trying to protect me, but I can tell that it's a part of me. And this is really key for trauma because so often we get so blended with all of our reactive parts that we think we're them. So I want to give you an example. We use very I am statements. I am a people pleaser. I am a control freak. I am anxious. I am quick to leave. I'm a softie, right? We use these words, I am. But realistically, it's needing to be, and I suggest we start learning to speak in the sense of a part of me. Why does this help? Well, right away, it gives a little separation, right? Parts of you people please, meaning parts of you fawn, which is a nervous system response. Parts of you fawn. Not all of you, parts of you. So even saying the word part gives a little separation. A part of me flies off the handle when I see XYZ from a partner, right? Or if I see this tone of voice or see this facial expression, I go within and I become a shell or I get really cold. Not all of me, parts of me do that to protect me. And so for some people, this can be a bit of shining light of hope, because we so often just own all these behavioral traits. We own them like they are who we are, and we forget that they're born out of deep pain, like deep hurt, and that these behaviors we have aren't truly who we are. They are parts of us trying to protect us. So far, does that resonate a little bit? Just a thumbs up. Yeah, yeah, cool. Thanks, Livy. Awesome, guys. Yeah, yeah. So it's abstract. I'm not going to lie. Initially, even back in the '80s, when Richard Schwartz, who created this, people called him crazy, right? You're saying that people have parts, like this is schizophrenia. You're saying we all have multiple personalities? No, right? Because everybody can recognize right now, in this moment, even, right? Yeah, part of me is actually feeling a little. There's like this like anxiousness because like, oh, we're talking about trauma. I don't know, it's a bit ick, but I'm also kind of curious. I'm leaning in a little, but I also feel distracted. All of that is parts energy, definitely depending on the level of trauma that you've gone through. How much do you usually dissociate and distract yourself? How much do you hyperfixate on something and everything else bleeds away? All of those are responses based out of your childhood experience and your adult experience and your teenage experience. That's your nervous system response in every step of the way. When I even say a word in today's session and you feel a little something, well, that is that part of you that is hyper aware, scanning the environment for danger. Oh God, is Jay going to talk about, you know, sexual abuse? God, hope not. That's too close to home. Of course, like, that's so sensitive. Oh, is he going to talk about divorce and childhood abandonment? Ugh. And you can feel maybe the tightening in your chest, or maybe all of a sudden you get cloudy in your mind, right? For me, I used to yawn if my wife would bring up. I have a teenage daughter who I'm actually estranged from. If we talked about it, I would get so much shame and guilt, and I would start to yawn, and I could literally fall asleep, even if I had a really great sleep. And so that was a dissociative part of me taking me over to try to take me out of the situation. So again, I share all this because you might notice these moments in your life where you're like, yeah, like I totally zone out sometimes. Or yeah, I mean, I find myself obviously on a TikTok scrolling, black hole, right? Nothing else exists except my phone and scrolling. That's a dissociative part that's helping you distract from some feelings that maybe you don't want to feel. Right. And so this work is so pivotal for healing because it finally gives, I think, a name and a voice, an acknowledgement to these aspects of your psyche that have just been reacting and trying to protect you from hurt. So far, I just like to slow it down a little. Are there any questions? Usually I know some workshops leave Q&A to the end, but like I said, just kind of going with this. Does anyone have any questions, curiosities? Totally okay if you don't, no pressure. Yeah, so IFS therapy, why I think it's so important to talk about is because, and so you might even hear my kids out there, little garage office that I have, but is IFS therapy finally allows people who are usually fragmented, who usually don't understand themselves, who usually are struggling to identify their feelings, their reactions, right? Why did I act that way? Why did I say it like that? Finally gives them the answer at a lot of times. But if anything, it gives them the direction that they can point in. They can finally say, like, oh yeah, that's a part of me that I can feel it, this urge to eat. I'm not even hungry, but I just kind of had a stressful day, and yeah, I get it. The only thing I'm thinking about right now is that the bag of chips I have in my fridge, whatever, my cupboard. I'm 8 years sober. Yeah, I'm 8 years sober. Only thing I could think about was happy hour at Cactus Club, right? Oh, can I make it? How many beers can I get in before they shut down the happy hour, right? And that's because I didn't want to face the pain that I was going through. And so we go through these moments where it's like, I don't know why I was so hell-bent on needing a drink. I have people that come to me, they don't know why they're so obsessive about finding out the reason why something happened, or why people are so hell-bent on eating certain unhealthy food when they know they need to eat healthy and go to the gym. Uh, they don't understand why they're so pissed off when it feels like they're out of control when their kids aren't listening to them, right? They're trying to gentle parent, but they feel like they're losing it half the time. But they don't know why, because hey, I'm a good person. I had a pretty good childhood, or what have you. So it's this idea that when you kind of wake up and you go through your life and you're doing things and you don't know why, this is really great for that. It really helps you understand the why. So I'll get into some, I guess, some details about IFS therapy that will help you just identify what you might notice happening at any point in your life. So when we're using the word parts, there's a few different types of parts. And this is important to know. Very distinguishing factors. So there's a manager protector part. They're proactive. So they're proactively surveying the environment, constantly watching out and hypervigilant, kind of like the keepers of the gate, right? The bouncer at the club, police officer, bodyguard, all those different kind of images you can think of. That's your manager protector part. That's proactively shifting your behavior, changing how you come across, stopping you from saying certain things, helping you act a certain way to appear a certain way. All of these different things. And it kind of makes sense if you think of it as a manager of a store or manager of a business, right? Robert, great question. Let me get to it in just a moment and I'll answer that for you. So think of a manager, right? They got their hands in every pot. They're trying everything they can to make the company run smoothly, right? If that makes sense. So this manager part, you have multiple of them. It's not just one manager part. You might have a control freak manager part. You might have a type A personality part that is managerial. You might have the, uh, bite your tongue and keep your opinions to yourself energy because you don't want to rock the boat. That's a managerial part. It's managing your behavior. It's stopping you literally from saying certain things. The part of you that will criticize you when you do eat the unhealthy food, right? That inner critic that a lot of us have. That's actually a managerial part. It's trying to help you toe the line. It's trying to keep you in line, usually by using language that your parents, shared with you. That part just learned to talk to you in a brutal way to get your attention because it just wants you to be good. It just wants you to do the right thing. It just wants you to look good, right? And why we say protectors is because underneath that, they are protecting a really wounded, vulnerable little one inside of you, or maybe a youth, right? Another personal example I'll give. When I would date and be with women, I wanted to come across just wonderful. I wanted to literally be the best. There were behaviors that are ick for sure now. I'm like, shit, I love bombed the hell out of people, right? It was undeniable on paper that, I'm amazing. Why? And that was a part of me. Those are protective parts of me. Why? And I didn't really know this. This is, again, one of those questions that I had for a long time. Why am I like this? In doing this work, I discovered that there was the little 16-year-old Jay, and I'm getting this kind of TMI for a free workshop that's going to go public, but it is what it is. I lost my virginity at 16, and then the girl ghosted me, and I thought I was in love. She ghosted me, never heard from her again. And I didn't realize that from that moment on, protective parts of me learned, we can't let that happen again. That was devastating to you. So we're going to make sure that nobody can leave us. And of course, it backfired because it's disingenuous. I got dumped all the time as an adult. But there was this lie that my parts told themselves that they're helping me. And it was all because there was a really deeply rejected younger 16-year-old version of me. Right? And I don't know if you can relate to that or if that makes sense, but that was a big piece of my healing. I was like, why am I like this in relationships and when I'm dating? Why am I literally so obsessive? Why am I so obsessed with how I'm coming across? Right? How I'm being perceived. It was because all of the fear of rejection. So that's the proactive managerial protector parts. You might start to notice in yourself, yeah, like, I run a tight ship, right? Or yeah, like I'm constantly scanning the environment for danger, or I can tell I'm constantly on edge. I'm wound up tight. Those are manager protector parts, right? Keeping you hyper vigilant, always on alert, right? Always on your A game. Um, like there's so many. I mean, of course, could we could go on and on all day about all these different personality traits, but that's what they are. These parts of you can look like personality traits. So for you, just watching this, you can consider, and I suggest you don't have to do it right now, but just consider it even for after this uh, meeting is, yeah, I guess what parts do show up for me almost every day, right? What parts do I blend with that now that I hear Jay's words and understand it are parts of me. They're not just entirely all of me. Is it the perfect hostess or the perfect host? Is it the super doting friend, right? Like I go above and beyond for my people. Maybe you sit and consider that. Oh, yeah, that's a bit of a protector. Because then you might ask yourself, well, why is it protecting me? I mean, I wonder what it's protecting me from. Because one of the biggest things that this work also does for you, it is a gift you get to give yourself, is the gift of curiosity. Is it finally allows you to stop and just ask these questions. I wonder what part this is. I wonder why it's protecting me. I wonder why it's showing up right now in this moment. And usually, when we listen quietly, we actually will hear a little energy come through us. Maybe even literally hear a voice in your head that's like, we don't want to look foolish. And that seems so simple because we have voices in our head every day, right? All day, we're having thousands and millions of thoughts. But now finally, we can actually hear these little voices. And it's like, shit, okay. So, oh, interesting. And sometimes it was such a light for me, a light bulb moment. It was like, you push me to perform because you're worried that I'm just going to be the kid that I was a C- student in school and I got made fun of all the time. Seriously. I'm like, wow, you really push yourself to perform and try to be a perfectionist because you're afraid that I'm just going to be looked at like a C- loser. Like, wow, okay, thank you. Like, that's really helpful. Right. And so when we can actually thank these parts of us as we start to learn that they are parts of us, again, a lot of things can shift. Because how often in your own life history have you just been
What
blamed for
happened? You
change?
okay?
Well, Olivia, I can hear you if you don't mind turning the microphone off.
Oh, oh,
So sorry to
give me 1 second.
say that. But is when you can actually thank these parts of you, when you can finally notice how they've been helping you. That's huge because if you have a trauma history, a lot of that trauma history is emotional and mental abuse and verbal abuse. Of course, a lot of it is neglect and physical abuse as well. But how often were you called a liar, or were you? People would say, "I don't understand you," or "You make no sense," or "You're a drama queen," or "You're just blowing it out of proportion," or they're gaslighting you, right? Like, no, that didn't happen. That's not how it was. And so, oftentimes, we start to not believe ourselves. We start to lose sight of who we are. And so when we can finally see these parts as parts of us, and we can finally start to thank them for how they've helped us, it goes a long way to building that self compassion, which a lot of people that suffer from trauma don't have much of, right? We're usually super critical of ourselves, super guilty all the time, full of self shame. But when we can see these parts and how they've actually helped us and we thank them, that builds so much inner trust. It's a beautiful thing to actually start to experience. So that was all about and Robert, don't worry, I still haven't forgotten your question. But those are all parts that are proactive manager. But now this is an important one that I want to talk about too, is the reactive firefighter parts. And these names were given through IFS therapy over the years just because they do seem relatable to people. Sometimes they're a little bit funny, like manager, firefighter, but they do also bring up an image, right? So a firefighter part is your reactive protector that will fight emotional fires at any cost. So they are the parts of you that will drink, that will do drugs, that will overeat, that are workaholics, the parts of you that are overzealous when it comes to exercise and meditation, the parts of you that fly into rages, the parts of you that can be abusive to others, the parts of you that can be really judgmental and shameful, to try to push back on somebody who you think is a threat so that you don't feel threatened, if that makes sense. A lot of this work actually helps, even we've been abused by physically dominant people. When we decide to go there, it's not about forgiveness or even having empathy, but we can start to understand even those people that hurt us, their parts that they blended with. And why that's important is because I think at the end of the day, we all do deserve to see our humanness in each other. We deserve to just see that at any given moment we're blending with parts, and some of those parts can be very self-destructive. Richard Schwartz, he actually went to death row and worked with inmates that are waiting for their death penalty. And he's done this work with them, and he's had them fully take off all their vulnerabilities and their masks and see how scary they are, but how scared they are of their own parts, but also having that compassion for those parts that, as gruesome as it is, hurt other people, all out of an extreme way of trying to protect that person, right? So the reactive firefighter protector is unfortunately usually the most misunderstood part of us. It's the part of us that people don't like. It's the part of us that we don't like in ourselves. But it's actually really, really, really helpful. So again, in my healing journey, the moment I could go back and thank the drinking part of me, the part of me that used alcohol to numb and move myself away from feeling isolated and like a loser and just like unloved, I thank that part. And in my mind, like subconsciously, it broke down into tears, because for the first time in however long, it wasn't demonized. I could finally look at that part and be like, a little misguided, bud, but wow, you're helpful. Like, you have really served me really well. Like, I see now how much you actually care about me. And that's what's actually really interesting, is this work can help you to have empathy and compassion for your most misunderstood parts within you. And those most misunderstood parts within you are sometimes the most hell-bent on protecting you. And if you're a parent, you can think of it as protection is love. So as much as it might not make sense that the drug user in you, the alcohol abuser in you, the overeater in you, the overdater, oversexer part of you, all these different things, holy shoot, they love me so hard that they will do anything to protect me. Now, it doesn't excuse dangerous, hurtful behavior. So this is a really important caveat, because some people do criticize this work of saying like, everything's just so touchy-feely and like you just let everything off the hook. Not at all. But here's a really important note, and I think this might really help you, is all parts are welcome, but not all behavior is, if that makes sense. So part of you that might want to flip off the handle and slap someone across the face, it's okay that that part's there. Totally understand why you want to do that. It's not okay if you do that, right? So I just want that to be out there, right? It's not okay that you steal and hurt other people and manipulate and lie and abuse other people, but why you're doing it is okay, if that makes sense. The reason why you're protecting me that way, I understand. So this also really helps, because it does really build really firm internal boundaries with ourselves. When we can unblend from the part that's doing something that's maybe sometimes hurtful or a little disempowering, right, or self-destructive, the moment we can kind of unblend from that part and then put up an internal boundary with love and compassion, again, a lot of things start to shift for us. Right? Does that kind of make sense, or could you see why that would be relevant? Giving a little bit of empathy and compassion to your most reviled, misunderstood parts of you? Yeah, probably, right? So that's the reactive, thanks, Amber. That's the reactive firefighter protector part. Again, just reiterating, they'll do anything at all costs to help you. Now, of course, where a really damaging cycle happens is reactive firefighter part is reacting to an emotional pain, a trigger, a stimuli, right? And so then it goes into a behavior that it knows to do. It goes into the behavior that it knows usually helps, even if it's momentary. So this is where I know there's not much logic to it, but even me drinking, it only helped me for a few hours because then I was blottoed, and then the next day I'm hungover and my job's affected. So for a brief moment in time, that reactive firefighter knows to help you in the way that it learned to help you, whatever it might be. But then you get that manager protector part that then criticizes, and it creates that shame spiral. And this is what happens to all of us until we actually learn this work, is that there is an energy in us that is not even a part. There is an energy in us that is a light, that is soft, that is compassionate, that is patient. In IFS, we call it self. That's really relevant because it's the you that isn't a part. It's the Chantel that isn't a blended part. It's the Robert that isn't a reactive part. It's the Amber that isn't a scared part. It's the energy within you, your humanness, that is actually all knowing, all patient, non critical, loving, compassionate, and curious. And the nice thing is, unlike a lot of other practices where you need to do transcendental meditation and years of hypnosis, you can access this energy within moments. And for a lot of people, that can be just life changing. Because let's say you're stuck in a cycle of, yeah, I just drank too much at that party. I said a few things, made a fool of myself, and I don't like it. So that's the manager part criticizing the firefighter part. And then there's another part that's like, it wasn't that bad. I mean, come on, lay off, eh? And then it's like there's this internal bickering, and you can kind of hear it right in your head, right? And then what happens? Let's just shut everything down. Now maybe you go into a 2-day depression. Or now maybe you just lower your eyes and just kind of cower around your colleagues, or you just feel stupid or embarrassed. That's all happening. This dichotomy inside of you is constantly happening. But what this work does is allows you to say, whoa, whoa, I'm noticing this, I'm noticing that, and I hear that. I don't want you guys to overwhelm me right now. This is actually something, so I'll slow down. You can write this down. This is something I share with all my clients that literally works. When you can tell you're blended, when you're triggered, when you're activated, if you just slow down and you say in your mind, you can even say it out loud, maybe quietly, or you will look like a crazy person. So say it quietly to yourself in your mind. Hey, I notice a lot going on right now. You're saying a lot. Obviously, you're going to shift the language to what you are noticing. Hey, I'm noticing you're really critical right now. Or hey, I'm noticing you're really devastated, you're really sad, or wow, I can tell you're torqued, you're pissed off. I won't, this is the key, I won't let you overwhelm me right now, because when I'm overwhelmed, I can't listen to you and I can't help you. For whatever reason, that mantra works, I'm going to say 9 times out of 10, where you will sense a small shift in energy. Because our parts then see and realize, oh shit, there's like a leader in here. There's a mature adult in here that's stepping up. What the heck is this? They take notice. And I know it seems kind of weird, kind of abstract, but literally try it next time. So you sense you're triggered, you sense you're activated, you can tell you're feeling a little bit ruffled or outside of yourself. You're just on the cusp of a full spiral, right? You just say that command. I won't let you overwhelm me, because when you overwhelm me, I can't help you and I can't listen to you. And the second part of that, this is key, is when you notice a small shift, maybe even just a slight dropping of the shoulders, like maybe you notice your jaw softens, like maybe you notice literally there might be even an agreement in your mind. You can sense like, oh, okay. Like, again, I know it's weird. Once you experience it, you'll be like, oh shit, that happens. These little like figments of our imagination, we can actually personalize them and see them. Maybe you notice a literal backing off. So a huge thing that you do there is say, thank you for your cooperation. So like any good parent would do, or any good leader would do, is you put up a boundary and then you bring awareness and thankfulness even to the respecting of that boundary, if that makes sense. So you're doing that for yourself. throw all that at you. Sorry, but I think that was really important because I didn't want you guys to not have that. That's a really awesome little mantra that all my clients use every day. I use all the time, and it almost always, I'm going to say almost always, no matter how traumatized we are, it almost always gives even an inch of room. And it's actually so quick. It's not like you have to do a bunch of breath work and a bunch of grounding exercises and a bunch of tapping and go do yoga, right? All that's good. But in literally a split second, you can just say that command. And I'm going to say 9 times out of 10, you notice a small shift. So we talked about proactive managerial parts. We've talked about reactive firefighter parts. But then the third part, the reason these protectors even exist is because of your exiles. So that is the actual traumatized little girl or little boy inside of you. And it's not just one thing. We have multiple exiles, especially with CPTSD or complex trauma. We have me, that 16-year-old that felt rejected after losing my virginity. We have the little me, the little 8-year-old boy that remembers being a witness to some really severe abuse to my parents. There's the 9-year-old me who remembers a really violent incident happening with my mom towards me, which was physically abusive. There's all these different ages of us. And so helping my clients, it's like, yeah, there's that 18-year-old me. Well, there's this little like 3-year-old me. There's a 8-year-old me. There's a 5-year-old me. They're all in us. They're all in us all the time. That's why we have these protective parts. They're protecting us constantly from the feelings that these little ones are holding. So some people call this like woo-woo, like, oh, inner child work's not real, right? But if you're here, you probably vibe with the idea of inner child work. You probably understand the aspect that your childhood affects your adult life, right? But that's what trauma is. It's everything that happened to you didn't get released because you didn't have a compassionate or empathetic witness to your suffering. If that makes sense. So you didn't maybe have somebody that said, what happened wasn't okay. I'm going to take you out of there and protect you from it. Or I'm going to stand up for you. And that will never happen again. Chances are that didn't happen. And so the feeling gets locked into you. And essentially at the heart of it, that's what trauma is. It's not the event that happened, right? Because people could not have trauma after a severe car accident because they were able to release themselves and go get help. They were able to flee and escape, and they were able to take action. Most of the time when we're kids, we can't do any of that. We're powerless. And the powerlessness might not have been so bad if we had somebody come and frankly save us or protect us, right? Does that kind of resonate? Just even like that, just that idea of understanding really what trauma is, right? Yeah, cool. Because trauma, and this might sound harsh or hopefully not like dismissive, but having one parent one time slap you across the face because you talk back to them, that's not going to cause trauma. But being slapped upside the head, shoved, hit once or twice, a parent knows about it, doesn't say anything, and the one parent is just the tyrant in the house, yeah, that's trauma. That's the abuse that never goes taken care of, right? You witness something just devastating, maybe a parental fight, maybe there is a moment of violence, and again, you're just kind of shushed and hushed and hidden away from it. Maybe nobody sits you down and talks to you about it fully, about what happened. You're their little person left to make up a bunch of interpretations about things. Your imagination goes wild, and then you're stuck with it. Or this is actually really common, is something happened to you. I had a client who was bullied at school. The incident was the bullying, right? It kind of happened regularly. They were regularly bullied. But the trauma of the bullying came from not having a safe place to land. When they went home, dad was a military guy, suck it up, right? Suck it up, buttercup. That's life. Life is hard. And mom was quiet as a mouse and just listened to dad, right? So kind of a shrugging of the shoulders. So my client recalls fully and didn't understand until we did this work. right? Even forgot about the bullying. Wasn't sure why in her adult life she was so fearful of like groups of people, and if she heard laughter coming from the other side of the room, the anxiety she got because she thought it was people laughing at her. All this stuff started to frankly unravel and reveal that yeah, she had a really militaristic, hard-headed, hard-nosed dad and a very quiet, submissive mom. But that was the trauma because she didn't get to say, "Mom, Dad, this happened. I'm scared. I didn't like it." Right? "Oh, honey, we're gonna take care of it. We're gonna march down to the school and we're gonna whatever. We're gonna stand up for you." Right? That didn't happen. Instead, she was told to be tougher, be stronger, suck it up. And then looking towards mom, mom says nothing. So she actually internalized to keep her mouth shut. So she also had experienced a sexual abuse event that she just kept quiet about because she didn't believe that she could speak out and that it would be safe, which unfortunately is sickening, but is so common, right? There's a lot of us, especially women, are taught to just bite our tongue, right? Don't want to rock the boat. You want to be a good girl and all this crap. Like it's sad that I've seen it time and time again. Most of my clients are women, and the amount of that kind of abuse it is awful. It's not okay. It happens to young men too, um, all the time. But so all of that's your exiled wound. So that is that little version of you, or in that client example, that client, or in any of my examples of me, that little moment in time where you weren't protected, where you felt alone, where you felt scared and you didn't know what to do about it. That was the moment that the trauma happened. And it was too much at that time. So this is key. It was too much for you to handle at that time. You're 4, you're 3, you're 5, you're only 12, you're only 15, you're still a kid. It was too much for you. So a protector part of your psyche came online, kind of was born at that time, and pushed the exile down, right? Hey, we can't feel those feelings. It's not safe. You will actually be really hurt or criticized or abused or dismissed, so much so that you feel like a shell of yourself. That can happen. So we're going to become a people pleaser. We're going to become, the rebel without a cause. We're going to become whatever it is that protects you and protects us from actually feeling these exiles emotions. And so that's why they're exiled. They're kind of shoved down into a basement, but with the intention of love. I mean, it's not, it doesn't want to paint a picture of it being bad. It's like, to protect us, this needs to be exiled. So that's why a lot of people don't actually do any trauma healing, because those protective parts of them are afraid of opening up Pandora's box. Maybe that makes sense, right? I don't know what I'm going to discover, so I don't really want to look. That's really what so many people suffer from. Yeah, Ariel, you get it. Right? I don't want to go looking in those like I have a client right now. I kind of have an analogy where I'm like, you brought a bunch of boxes from the basement up into your house, and now you're opening those boxes. You didn't know what was in those boxes, but now they're out in your house, right? All the weird stuff that was in those boxes, and now your parts are freaking out because they've kept those boxes contained in the basement for so long that now they're out. But with this work, you have that self energy where you notice what parts are activated when you think of the hurt or you re-experience the hurt. You can go to that protective manager part that's trying to control your behaviors. You can go to the firefighter part that's trying to just put out and douse the emotional flames, all in the attempts of building trust. And when you build trust and you lead with cooperation, you can actually spend time with that exiled wound. Now, in my work, I'm so grateful that we get to go to that step of actually meeting an exiled wound. It's a really gentle, really sensitive process, of course, because we're really being with your most vulnerable little energy. And when that happens, a really beautiful thing happens. It's called unburdening. So when you are the compassionate, empathic witness to your own suffering, that little person inside of you finally has a trustworthy adult that they can actually unload on. This happened to me, this happened to me. And you're there present, not anxious, not panicked, because self isn't. It's actually a miraculous thing that can happen. I'll give you a little example in a moment. And Robert, I still have not forgotten. Do not worry, my brother. So is you can be with that part of you that just unloads all their hurt and all their pain, and you can listen and you can witness it. And then there's a whole beautiful process that I won't get into too much today that allows that little part to actually unburden everything that she or he is carrying. All the feelings of hopelessness, all the feelings of unlovability, all the feelings of isolation, fear, all that stuff can get unburdened and released. And that's why IFS therapy is such an effective trauma therapy, because there is a release component. So a lot of therapy and counseling like CBT and DBT, it's a bit psychoanalytic. Some of it's a little bit body based, but mostly it's talking about it and reprocessing your thoughts, right? For the most part, they don't have a release component. So the trauma that's in you, it can't be released. It's still there. It's understood. So when we analyze our pain, we can understand it. We can really get to know it very clearly. But that's all that it is. Okay, all my pain is right here in front of me. I see it clear as day. I know step A to step B. I know the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s of all my pain. None of it's released. So this work is so powerful because it helps you actually release the pain. And then that's literally where you feel freer and you feel more freedom. So that's that third part, the exiles. I kind of got off a little on a tangent there. It happens. Thank you for your patience. But so the exiles are that third part, the wounded part. They're being protected by your manager protectors and your firefighter protectors. So I'm sure at this stage you can kind of see where, yeah, it feels a bit intense, like shit, like there's a lot going on, right? But maybe you can see that, well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be so intense. If I could actually notice the part and talk to it, maybe give it a little guidance, a boundary, let it know I'm listening. I'm just wondering, even just thumbs up. Do you think that would make you feel internally more seen, more heard, more acknowledged, more validated by your own self? If you could literally do that for your parts? Yeah. 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 Like I think so too, right? So Robert, let's get to this. So what if you're being mentally and physically abused by your partner and you finally get free, but they refuse to see your side of it or accept that you are done? Yeah. Really good question, Robert. Partner in quotations, you don't have to give too much details if you don't feel like it. But either way, it sounds like this is a romantic relationship that was abusive and you've gotten free from it. But they refuse to actually see where you're coming from. They refuse to validate or acknowledge your pain, or even let you go. They're not actually letting you go live your life. You can just, 16 and a half years, Robert. Okay. Yeah. And so they're not willing to see your side of it. So there's obviously so much at play here. You have parts that have learned over 16 and a half years to be submissive, right? You have parts of you, I'm sure, I don't know you yet, I haven't had the pleasure, but you probably have parts of you that have maybe towed the line, but you also have parts of you that resent it. And that's probably why you're out now. That's why you maybe were able to finally get free, is you have parts that couldn't take it anymore. Obviously, your partner's parts can't speak to them, but that can really happen is when somebody finally tells maybe a narcissist to go screw themselves, that actually creates all the pain that they've been trying to hide from, right? They've been trying to run away from their own rejection feelings and their own abandonment wounds that then they clutch and they hold on with a death grip. So it sounds like your partner, that's probably an aspect of what they're experiencing. Then they also don't want to face the guilt and the shame of how they did make somebody else feel. Right? Does that kind of make sense? Okay, so read this. Ariel, what if you're the abused and insecurity and started working on yourself? Okay, so this is a good one, Ariel, and this is big for us, and I've had to do this too, where I've recognized that I was the abuser, where I was the manipulator, where I was the one that was hurting the other person. Is when we've really hurt people, and I'm working with a couple right now that came to me, they are broken up now, but he cheated on her. So at some point, we have to respect that our behaviors have affected somebody. Maybe they make sense, maybe they don't, right? Maybe we get why they're so hurt, but maybe we don't. Maybe it's a bit of confusion. And this goes for them to you. Your feelings are your own. The parts of you that are reactive, that's theirs. They have their whole history of it. They have their reasons for it. That person not allowing you to acknowledge it, I mean, I guess I kind of read that as still even dismissing your apologies, maybe still dismissing your accountability, right? Most often that can be where that person is too afraid still to let you in, right? The fact is you've hurt them and they don't trust you, right? And that can be really hard to hear, but that's okay. You've had parts of you that did act out. You have parts of you that did hurt other people to try to protect you. And you're right, you're starting to understand some of your own childhood trauma and all this stuff that's coming through. Breakdowns of relationships really get to show us, right, where we're hurt and how we can hurt other people. So in this situation, Ariel, I mean, of course, I can't. I'd love to answer it perfectly for you, and I hope it sheds some light on it. But it,
So I have to throw one that
chances are there's
was
still
wet, so those were good.
And Olivia, my friend, sorry, the microphone's just on again a little bit. Sorry. If you don't mind muting, bless you. So I hear that that part of them isn't ready to trust you, and so doesn't want to be vulnerable by actually receiving your acknowledgement and your accountability and your apology. That could be a part of it, right? So in all of this, though, in these, like Robert in your situation, Ariel in your situation, is I hope you can kind of understand where even Ariel, for you, there is a manager part of you that might be really wanting to know why they won't allow you even to apologize. There is maybe this part of you that is hell-bent on making it right? And if you get quiet and ask that part, why is that so important that they acknowledge it and all that kind of stuff, you might get some more answers, right? So here's a really interesting thing about it all. Thankfully, I'm not a guru. I'm just a dude, right? I've done some work. I know it really well, but none of us have the answers really for the other person. We can get clarity, and I can, of course, shed light on things, and I can, of course, give guidance and shine a light. I kind of like to say shine a light of consciousness. It's a flashlight. But the best way to get answers is when we start to ask these questions for ourselves. When we can notice that it's a part of us that's activated, and we slow down and be like, I feel you, I hear you, I sense you. What are you really wanting for me right now? Right? I mean, there's 1,000 different ways you can ask yourself questions. But I'll quickly read this, Ariel, because I want to honor it. Yeah. So Ariel, I mean, that's the thing, right? Divorce, I gather it sounds like he's really hurt. And his trust level is pretty low. And this is one of the hardest things is we have to acknowledge the parts of us that aren't okay with that, right? Be with them and say, listen, just like that command I gave you earlier, I won't let you overwhelm me. I can't actually help you or listen to you when I'm overwhelmed, right? And then the hurt parts of you are equally hurt that he won't let you acknowledge how you hurt him. I mean, this is the thing with divorce and breakups. Obviously, it gets fucking messy, right? One person's really hurt. They've hurt the other person, and that hurt can hurt the other person that did the hurting. It can become a really wicked cycle. This is why I say, slow down. Acknowledge the parts of you that are trying to take over. Let them know I won't let you overwhelm me. And just start there, right? Yeah. And recognizing we're the reason for someone's pain. Obviously, it's hard. That's us facing shame. That is us facing real guilt and embarrassment. And that's not easy. And so as soon as you, Ariel, can start to get a little more comfortable with that shame, right, with that feeling that you were the reason, I would strongly suggest don't take 100% ownership. It's a relationship, right? It's always a two-way street. But when you can sit in the stuff that you've done, that you don't like that you've done, and you can sit in that shame, you can hand to heart say like, okay, I can handle this. That's a huge step, right? Or even, oh, I can't handle this. This feels like too much, but I'm still trying. That's a big start, right? So went a little over, guys. Thanks so much for your patience. But again, does some of this resonate? I mean, I kind of yammered on a lot, flapped my gums, but we've talked about the three different main parts: protector parts, exile parts, and even self energy. Does it seem to click? Does it give even right away your own personal life? Does it give a few little answers or insights that maybe you were hoping for? Thumbs up, yeah. Chantel, that's awesome. Yeah, yeah, Ariel, it is a long process, right? Robert, you're right. So this is where, oh, Olivia, not a problem at all. No, no, not at all. Um, Also for your privacy, I don't want you to say something that you don't mean to say. um, so if this has been interesting, right, what you could consider doing is a new program that I've put out. So what I do is I'm an inner healing coach. I help people one-on-one privately, and it's really awesome. It's an intensive. It's beautiful. But I've always wanted to be able to take what I do in my private sessions with people and put it into an online course that they can actually do on their own, that is safe to work with their own trauma, but in the comfort of their own home at their own pace. It's been a passion project of mine for years, and I'm finally doing it. So it's called Freedom from Trauma, Healing Complex Trauma with IFS Therapy. So it walks you through every single minute step of how to actually implement this therapy into your own life and for your own benefit. It gives you an insider's look as to what it might even be like to have one-on-one guidance with a trained specialist in this type of trauma-informed therapy. It allows you to actually go step by step, so that you can begin healing at a deeper level than probably ever before. Because once you really start taking in this work, IFS therapy, and you really start owning it and committing to it, your life changes. I will be bold in saying that your life actually changes, and you can quickly feel a type of light in you that you haven't felt for a long time. I can only say that because of lived experience, but also feedback from clients and even students of the program. Um, so what I like to do is I'm big on hand holding. I am. I'm big on giving support where support's needed. So it is an online course that is 6 modules. In those modules, there's about 3 to 4 lessons each. I mean, so you're looking at about 18 lessons. Um, there's tons of PDF downloads and guidebooks and really unique audio exercises and guided meditations. Everything that you would want in just a course that can help you get to know yourself. But I'm also offering a private session with me and also unlimited text support. So all of that can be available to you for only $268. And there are parts of me, and this is where we get to be real. There are parts of you that are a little uneasy that right now, maybe there's a bit of a pitch, right? Oh, great, he's selling something. There's part of me that I grew up in poverty, and I still want to be real with you, where my parents thought people that wanted money were bad. I do have feelings inside of me that wealth is bad, that asking for things is bad, right? So I just want to be open with you that I understand fully that it's a little, oh, okay, oh, he's pitching. Or there's shame. I can't afford that either. I just want help. Or there's nothing there. You're like, yeah, screw, yeah, awesome. This feels good. I'm in. But I want to share that, I get it. Because getting mental health support is hard enough as it is. Finding avenues that are affordable at times can be hard enough. But that's also why I'm doing this. So I want to give as much support for people as possible. And I hope a really palatable price. So if you're interested, this offer is available for 24 hours after this call. I'm going to put the link in this message box. You can copy and paste the link. You can go ahead and act now if something like this feels good for you, if you feel aligned with it. And then for 24 hours, you can have access to private coaching, unlimited tech support, and the course for $268. After 24 hours, it just goes up to $526, but the course will always be available for $268. So I want to make sure you get this really cool offer because frankly, you gave me your time, you shared your energy with me, and I'm really grateful, genuinely. And I just know how much this work helps. And so I would be so excited for you if you chose to do something really powerful for yourself. So if you've liked it all what we talked about in the workshop, this is just a free, simple workshop. Think about what you might have learned about yourself in here and times that by 50 with this program or course. So again, thumbs up. Does that seem interesting to you? Yeah, Chantal? Amber, yeah. Ariel, yeah. Right. And a lot of us too, sometimes it's like, yeah, Robert, it's like, another thing. I'm going to speak to that as well, right? This is a really unique process, this course, because it speaks to the parts of you that want procrastinate. I can do that module later, but maybe I'll do the audio lesson instead. Or video is a little much. I get kind of bored, but I can do the PDF guide and I can listen to the audio. Or audio is boring. I want video. So in it, you get video, you get audio, you get written. So there's an avenue that can kind of speak to all quadrants of our brain too. That's kind of why I formulated it that way, so that we can learn this process in multiple different ways. And yeah, you get lifetime access to it. So you can come back to it. I have students that have done, modules multiple times because you pick up something new each and every time. So I'm really excited for it. What I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to drop the link into the message box. If you feel so bold and right now feels right for you and you do like what's happening here, then go ahead and sign up. I would be so excited for you. Copy and paste this and put it somewhere else because maybe you want to think about it for a little while. That's okay. This offer is here for 24 hours. So I'm at 1 o'clock Pacific time. So 1 o'clock Pacific time on Saturday, the offer will expire. Go ahead and consider it and think about it, right? But this is something that I just want you to know is coming from a place of, I know what's possible. Okay, this is the work that has allowed me, frankly, to run a business when all I've lived with all my life is shame and embarrassment and social anxiety. It is the work that has allowed me to stay sober for 8 years. And I was drinking since 12. I had a 3-year stint where it was really bad, but it was a lifelong addiction to alcohol. This is the work that has saved my marriage. Right, we have 3 beautiful kids, the love of my life. There are parts of me that have tried to sabotage it so many times, but it's always this work that has allowed me to come back to me, right? And that's where we get lost with trauma, is we lose us. And so if you're ready to just find you again, and if you really are like, fuck, I'm just tired of not getting the type of help that I know I need, you'll be shocked at how insightful this is for you and actually how supportive it can be for you. So yeah, so that's the link. But guys, I am just so grateful that you all spent an hour and 16 minutes with me. Actually, Chantal and Amber longer because I the Google Meet issue. So I've taken up an hour and 25 minutes of your day, and I really am grateful. This is recorded. You're going to be getting emails with the recording. So by all means, like, watch it later if you'd like. You will be emailed with this link as well. If that's okay, I'll email the links, right? But just think about it, right? Is if you like this workshop at all, you'll absolutely love the course. And it's also great because maybe actually hiring someone one-on-one feels a bit much, right? It just gives you that extra opportunity to get the help that you do deserve. So that's enough from me for now. You guys rock. Thank you so much for being here. Robert, bless you. Thank you for sharing part of your story with us. And Ariel, thank you so much for sharing part of your story with me. I hope the words I shared resonated a little bit. I hope you found a little bit of support that you were looking for today. And if you took notes, I hope you got a few actual tools that you can use. Because yeah, you deserve that. So guys, enjoy the rest of your 4th of July. To us Canadians, happy Friday. And I will see you guys hopefully on the other side. And if you have questions, email me, DM me, whatever works. But bless all of you. Okay? Bye-bye.